Imagine living in a time when the mere whisper of a tribe's name sent chills down the spines of warriors and settlers alike, where brutal raids struck under the cover of darkness, leaving only smoke, silence, and the echoes of terror. These were not just warriors, they were legends, ruthless, fearless, unstoppable. They rode like ghosts across the plains, vanished into the forests without a trace, and turned enemies into nightmares. Discover the most formidable Native American tribes in history. While many tribes displayed immense strength, three stood out for their sheer ferocity. These groups were not just powerful, they were utterly terrifying, leaving a trail of fear and awe wherever they went. But what made them so feared? And just how brutal were they? Stay with me, because the truth is far more shocking than you've ever imagined. This is the untold story of the most feared Native American tribes in history, and why their enemies never stood a chance. In this video, we'll uncover three of the deadliest Native American tribes that might have escaped your notice. The mere mention of this tribe's name struck terror, even among other native peoples. But before we delve into this gripping history, don't forget to like and subscribe for more fascinating content. Dubbed the Lords of the Plains, their name originates from the Ute word Comanche, meaning those who are always fighting, or simply enemy. The Comanches trace their lineage to the Shoshone tribe, which resided in the western United States within the Great Basin region. Anthropological studies highlight shared traits between these tribes, such as their language and way of life. Their language is part of the Uto-Aztecan family, encompassing numerous native tongues across the western U.S. When European settlers, particularly the Spanish, introduced horses to North America in the 16th century, these animals gradually spread among indigenous groups. The Comanches obtained horses through trade with neighboring tribes like the Pueblo, who had Spanish ties, or other plains tribes already familiar with horses. They bartered buffalo hides, captives, and other goods to acquire these valuable animals. With horses in their possession, the Comanches swiftly mastered horsemanship and expanded far beyond their Shoshone origins. They were drawn to the buffalo-rich plains of eastern Colorado and western Kansas, where they became unparalleled equestrians, using horses for hunting, trading, and warfare. Horses weren't just a means of transportation, they symbolized status and power within Comanche society. Their expertise in riding was unmatched. Children began learning to ride early in life, and both men and women honed extraordinary equestrian skills. The Comanches excelled at capturing and taming wild horses. Their method involved roping a wild horse's neck, choking it until it fainted, then reviving it by gently blowing into its nose. Afterward, they would clean the horse, remove stray hairs around its eyes, and equip it with a headstall for control. The wild horse was then paired with a calm mare to form a bond and acclimate it to human contact. After several days, the horse was released but stayed close to its companion mare. When ready to ride, handlers would lead the horse into deep water or sandy creek beds to minimize resistance and soften any falls if it bucked its rider. William Blakemore, an Englishman who lived among the Comanches for 8 years, once remarked, "On foot they are clumsy and slow, but on horseback they transform into figures of elegance. They are the most skilled and daring riders in the world." In battle, the Comanches were a force to be reckoned with. They would charge their enemies with piercing war cries, using their horses as shields by hiding their bodies behind them, save for one foot. From this position, they would fire bullets or arrows with deadly precision over and under their horses' necks. Each warrior had a cherished warhorse reserved solely for combat, and even the women displayed exceptional riding skills, hunting buffalo and lassoing antelope with fearless determination. The Comanches swiftly rose to power through relentless and brutal warfare. Their boldness and ferocity made them a dominant force that resisted European colonization with unmatched tenacity. After Spain acquired Louisiana from France, Spanish soldiers acknowledged the Comanches as unparalleled in horsemanship and courage on the battlefield. They were not easily subdued, killing many settlers and making it nearly impossible for French, Spanish, and American forces to claim their lands. So formidable were the Comanches that they single-handedly halted Spanish expansion for almost half a century. General James Wilkinson of the United States even described them as the most formidable indigenous group on the continent. Initially dismissed as mere horse thieves, the Comanches soon gained notoriety through their ruthless raids. These attacks were so ferocious that northern Spanish and Mexican settlers coined the term Comanche Moon to describe nights when hundreds of mounted warriors would descend upon settlements. During these raids, they massacred men, abducted women, and stole horses. Any European settler who dared cross their territory risked being attacked. Their horses would be stolen and later sold to either the Spanish-Mexican Empire or American buyers. Despite being a relatively small tribe of about 40,000 people, each Comanche owned 2 to 3 horses on average. In their culture, young warriors earned prestige through frequent raids, proving their ability to kill and steal, essential markers of status within their families and bands. Comanche women were also infamous for their brutal treatment of captives. Known for their inventive torture methods, they instilled such fear that captives often prayed for death rather than endure their torment. S.C. Gwynn, author of Empire of the Summer Moon, stated that no other tribe in the history of Spanish, French, Mexican, Texan, or American presence inflicted as much widespread devastation as the Comanches. He vividly described their attacks on settlers as demonic in brutality, marked by torture, killings, and gang rapes. Their raids followed a grim logic, terrorizing enemies to maintain dominance over their vast territory. Every man was slaughtered, captives endured horrific torture, women were subjected to gang rape, and infants were mercilessly killed. T.R. Fehrenbach, author of Comanche, The History of a People, recounts a harrowing event involving the Parker family, early settlers at Fort Parker. In 1836, approximately 100 Comanche warriors on horseback approached the fort. One warrior deceitfully waved a white flag to mislead the Parkers. Fehrenbach describes how Benjamin Parker stepped outside the fort to negotiate with the Comanches, but was quickly surrounded and speared to death. The Comanches stormed the fort with thunderous war cries, killing Samuel Frost and his son Robert in front of the women. John Parker suffered brutal mutilation, was scalped, and left for dead. Granny Parker was pinned to the ground with a lance and endured unimaginable assaults. The Comanches were infamous for their cruel treatment of captives, which included both American and Mexican soldiers. Some captives were burned alive over open flames. Others were scalped and castrated while still conscious. One especially horrifying practice involved burying victims up to their necks, cutting off their eyelids and leaving them exposed to the scorching sun until they succumbed to starvation. Historical records also describe Comanches staking naked male captives over red ant mounds, sometimes after severing their genitals and forcing them into their mouths before sewing their lips shut. Another method involved sewing captives into rawhide and leaving them under the sun. As the leather dried and shrank, it slowly suffocated the victims. Fehrenbach also recounts a Spanish account detailing how Comanches tortured Tonkawa captives by burning their hands and feet until the nerves were destroyed. After amputating these limbs, they would repeat the burning on fresh wounds. The Tonkawas were scalped alive, had their tongues ripped out to silence their screams, and endured unimaginable suffering. Before we move on to discuss another deadly tribe, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more content. The Iroquois Confederacy, also known as the Haudenosaunee or Six Nations, stands as another remarkable example of indigenous political and social organization in North America. This powerful alliance was formed through cooperation among distinct tribes such as the Mohawk, Oneida, Onondaga, Cayuga, and Seneca. The Mohawk, located in the east, were recognized for their strategic position and early interactions with European settlers. The Oneida originated near the Great Lakes region, while the Onondaga occupied central New York, contributing significantly to the Confederacy's diversity. The Cayuga and Seneca tribes lived further west and south respectively, each bringing unique strengths to this alliance. Interestingly, the term Iroquois was not a name they gave themselves, but one assigned by their adversaries, the Algonquins. The Algonquins referred to them as Iroquois, a term meaning rattlesnake. Why such a name? The reason lies in their unparalleled skill at stealthily approaching enemies and delivering swift yet devastating attacks. Before their foes could even react, many capable warriors would already have been struck down. The Iroquois Confederacy, known for its assertive and expansionist tendencies, frequently expanded its territory through raids on neighboring tribes. Their military campaigns struck fear into many, leading to the defeat of numerous Native American groups, including the Huron, Erie, and Susquehannock. From a young age, Iroquois children were trained in warfare, mastering weapons such as bows, arrows, spears, and clubs. By adolescence, they participated in raids against rival tribes and occasionally against European settlers. This early exposure to combat molded them into fearless warriors who fought with unwavering determination to secure victory. Exhibiting exceptional combat skills not only earned individuals respect, but also provided a pathway to becoming a war chief. A particularly harrowing aspect of Iroquois warfare was their treatment of captives. Prisoners were often forced to endure the gauntlet, a ritual where they ran between two lines of warriors armed with thorny branches and clubs while being struck repeatedly. This practice symbolized the intensity of intertribal warfare and underscored the strict military culture within Iroquois society. The Beaver Wars of the 17th century marked a critical period for the Iroquois Confederacy as they sought to expand their influence. These conflicts were driven by their desire to dominate the fur trade and secure valuable hunting grounds. Among their significant victories was the subjugation of the Susquehannocks in present-day Pennsylvania and the decimation of the Huron people near the Great Lakes. By the early 1700s, at the height of their power, the Iroquois controlled vast territories stretching from Michigan to Tennessee. What distinguished them was their ability to maintain unity among their member nations, a strength that became evident during events like the French and Indian War, when all Iroquois nations aligned with the British. In contrast, the Apache people of the American Southwest demonstrated resilience and adaptability in a challenging environment. As part of the Southern Athabascan group, Apache tribes occupied regions from central Texas to northern Mexico and from Arizona to the Arkansas River. Surrounded by powerful adversaries such as the Spanish, Comanche, and Ute, as well as American settlers, they thrived through their mastery of guerrilla warfare. Utilizing rugged terrain to their advantage, Apache warriors conducted swift raids on settlements and military outposts. They were renowned for their ability to fire multiple arrows while riding horses and for their skillful use of modern rifles, introduced by European powers. The Apaches' guerrilla tactics included ambushes, hit-and-run attacks, and deception. They avoided direct confrontations with larger forces, instead targeting supply trains and settlements before retreating into mountainous hideouts. Despite facing superior weaponry and relentless campaigns by European powers, they resisted colonization for decades. Leaders like Cochise and Geronimo became legendary for their tactical brilliance during prolonged conflicts, such as the Apache Wars. These wars reflected both their resilience and determination to preserve their way of life against overwhelming odds. The Apache survival strategies were deeply rooted in their mastery of stealth and surprise, forming the backbone of their military prowess. In essence, they were unparalleled experts in guerrilla tactics, using their intimate knowledge of terrain to launch sudden, unpredictable strikes that left their enemies stunned and demoralized. Apache warriors would emerge swiftly from concealed positions, execute precise attacks, and retreat just as quickly into the rugged landscapes they knew intimately. Their ability to cover vast distances, whether on foot or horseback, was remarkable, enabling them to strike with precision and vanish before their adversaries could mount a counterattack. One of the defining features of Apache warfare was their exceptional skill in raiding. They conducted swift, brutal raids on settlements, forts, and supply trains, often targeting vulnerable points at dawn or dusk. These raids were meticulously planned and executed with precision. The Apaches seamlessly integrated Spanish horses and steel weapons into their tactics, adapting quickly to new tools of war. They became adept at wielding lances and knives with remarkable speed and efficiency, further enhancing their combat effectiveness. General George Crook aptly described the Apaches as the tigers of the human race, a testament to their ferocity and physical endurance. Their ruggedness was legendary. They could outrun cavalry on foot and traverse harsh terrains with ease. In battle, Apache warriors demonstrated extraordinary skill in archery, capable of releasing 7 arrows into the air before the first one struck its target, a display of both speed and precision. However, the Apaches were also infamous for their cruelty toward captives. Torture was not only a means of instilling fear, but also a cultural practice that rewarded creativity in devising new methods. Captives were often skinned alive or burned over open flames. Children of their enemies met grim fates, such as having their heads smashed against walls. Those who endured torture with courage earned respect among the Apaches, highlighting the brutal logic that underpinned their warfare. In conclusion, these survival strategies and military tactics solidified the Apaches' reputation as some of history's most formidable guerrilla fighters. Their ability to adapt to changing circumstances, combined with their mastery of stealth and mobility, ensured their dominance in the American Southwest for centuries. For centuries, these warriors ruled the land with unmatched brutality, striking fear into anyone who dared challenge them. Their tactics were ruthless, their skill in battle unmatched. And their enemies? They never stood a chance. But here's the real question. Were they truly savage conquerors? Or were they fierce defenders fighting for survival against an unstoppable force? History remembers them as brutal, but was their brutality any different from the invaders who came after them? Or is this just the side of history we were told to believe? Let us know in the comments. Were these tribes ruthless warriors or misunderstood legends? And if they had never been defeated, how different would history look today? Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more hidden history, and turn on notifications. Because trust me, there's so much more they didn't teach you in school.